Part 3. The Hollowing. After Lena Whitmore disappeared, Cane Hollow ceased to be the peaceful town it once was. The town slowly turned into an empty shell where people no longer felt alive. Their eyes grew blank, their hands and feet numb, as if their souls had been drained away. Each passing day, a piece of their memory, a piece of their emotion, vanished. There was only one person who still had enough awareness to face it. Elijah Pike, Jack's old war buddy, the only one still holding on to his sanity. He knew that something supernatural was consuming the town, and he decided to venture into the forest to uncover its mystery. Elijah grabbed his old rifle and a picture of Jack and Lena, reminding himself of the journey's purpose: revenge, answers, and saving the forest. But as Elijah went deeper into the woods, the silence became suffocating. The sounds of nature, the birds singing, the wind howling, all disappeared. There was nothing but the sound of his own footsteps, echoing in the pitch-black night. The forest began to breathe. Elijah never returned. The next morning, the only thing left was his old hunting hat, hanging on a tree branch. No blood, no sign of struggle, just an overwhelming feeling of heaviness in the air. That night, the whole town shared the same dream. Lena stood beneath the heart tree, her eyes glowing yellow like burning sap, and her voice, no longer hers, spoke in the voice of the forest. Blood for blood. Now you will pay in memory. The town could not escape its fate. Every year, on the day Jack was arrested, someone disappeared. There were no signs left behind, just the roots growing longer and the heart tree still bleeding. Part 4. The Final Sacrifice. Cane Hollow had reached its breaking point. No one had the strength to resist the forest's domination any longer. The heart tree was no longer just a tree. It was a living entity, a supernatural force consuming each human soul one by one. The town couldn't go on like this. There was only one way left: sacrifice. One evening, as darkness fell, the remaining townsfolk stood at the edge of the forest. They knew that the only way to stop it was by completing an ancient ritual. A ritual that had been long forgotten, a ritual where blood and sacrifice were exchanged for life. The people of Cane Hollow knew now that the heart tree would only release them if a strong soul gave everything. Emery Quinn, an elderly woman, was the only one who remembered the ritual. She recalled how their ancestors had performed the ritual to protect the forest, but they paid the ultimate price. The heart tree would only accept sacrifices from the strongest souls, those who were willing to give everything to restore balance. A heavy silence fell over the group. Elijah had already sacrificed himself to save them, and now another soul had to step forward. The remaining townsfolk knew what needed to be done. They had to sacrifice someone. No one could live without giving something great in return. Elijah, though no longer with them, appeared once again, not as a man, but as the spirit of the forest, standing silently in the shadows. He guided the townsfolk closer to the heart tree, the place where everything began. When they reached the heart tree, Lena appeared, her eyes glowing, no longer human, but a part of the tree, a part of the forest itself. She stepped forward and whispered, "Balance is sacrifice. Life and death must be exchanged." The roots began to coil tightly, wrapping around each of them. It was a sacrifice like no other, but the only way to end the cycle. The townsfolk, one by one, offered themselves, knowing they were saving their home, saving their families. Elijah Pike was the first, stepping forward, holding an ancient stone in his hand and placing it on the tree. The heart tree shook, and light exploded from its center, while the roots slowly retracted, pulling the spirits of the sacrificed into the tree. With their final act, they restored balance. Ending. When the ritual was complete, the forest fell silent. The town of Cane Hollow was no longer consumed by the forest's grip, and the heart tree finally stopped bleeding. But the townspeople knew that the heart tree would never forget. And every year, on the day Jack was arrested, a whisper would ride the wind: "The balance has been paid."